the Afro-Mexican Boxito and Sibling regional cowmen characters of the Americas, North and South. The African lineage of Mexico is now well established. Various Afro-descendant regional characters have become national symbols after whitening. The pervasive Africanization of Mexico and the Americas is supported by ample evidence. After mediatic whitening, Mexican Afro-descendant offspring, the Chinaco and China, Cambujos or Zambujos, Black Indians, became nationally known as the Chinaco and China in 19th century Mexico. Their centennial regional cultures, with their Africanness blurred, became official Mexican national emblems of the nation and nationality. Elites plagiarized regional Mexican characters and those misappropriated the nation's lands and identity. Discursive whitening or Europeanization was carried via all persuasion channels, including public education. The current official ethnic image of the Mexican charro and china, just like other Afro-descendant cowmen characters of Mexico and the Americas, exclude their fundamental African heritage. This was not always the case. Following 300 years of Spanish pigmentocracy and colonial rule, Mexico emerged as an independent nation in 1821. In 19th century Mexico, El Negrito was the most popular character. Mexican artist José Guadalupe Posadas portrays him as a puppet of the Chinaco, Mexican cowman, with his lady partner, the China, fighting the oligarchy. Guillermo Prieto identifies El Negrito puppet as the personification of the nation, with his sword, pants, scarf, and hat with a tricolor band. One unknown regional version of this national character is the Boxito or Boxito. Box is from Yucatec Maya. It means black or dark. The Spanish suffix ito makes the nickname derogatory in this case. The Negrito appears pimpishly dressed in the national table game of lottery. Ricardo Perez Montfort has noted that the Boxito cowherder is related to other cowherders of the Andalusian Caribbean. This documentary explores through dance, song, and food the African links of sibling Mexican regional characters such as the Boxito of Yucatan State, Campechano Campeche State, Chinaco Central Mexico and Bajío, Chilango Mexico City, Choco Tabasco, Cuculuste Guerrero, Jarocho Veracruz, Tapatio Nueva Galicia. Among other Mexican regional characters, symbols of the nationality adopted officially in the 19th century after whitening, as noted. Afro-Mexican regional typical characters of the colonial period became known nationally as Chinacos and Chinas when Mexican Afro-descendants from various regions of New Spain united in their manumission struggle. Chinacos are observed through the lens of Vaquero music and dance typical of Mexico, and juxtaposed with sibling regional Afro characters throughout Mexico and the Americas. For instance, the cowboy of the USA, gaucho of Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay plains, llanero of Venezuela and Colombia, chalán of Peru, guaso of Chile, guajiro of Cuba, jíbaro of Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, etc. The critical perspective is of primary importance. With a macro focus, it's possible to study customs and regional characters and perceive their historical links. The micro approaches alone take out of focus, blur or make invisible the larger picture, and impede seeing the historical and present connections among the subjects of study. This study uses macro and micro approaches. Thus, one is able to observe the subject of study with greater depth and width. The Mexican phenomena under analysis here is linked to Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Americas. This is a transdisciplinary Afrocentric work. The post-Columbian Andalusian heritage of Mexico and the Americas is acknowledged. The Black Moor building of Al-Andalus in part of the land that would become Spain after 1492 is recognized and underlined. The Moors had commercial exchange with sub-Saharan Africa. Between the 8th and 16th centuries, the trans-Saharan trade was at its peak. Free and enslaved sub-Saharan Africans entered Europe for 8 centuries before Columbus reached the Americas. Historically, Andalusian and Iberian cultures are heavily rooted in Africa. The First Nations and Asian endowments to Mexico are acknowledged, including the contributions of Aboriginal Filipinos who entered New Spain, Mexico, after 1571 as chinos, short for chinos, cochinos, or dirty pigs. In addition, it must be noted that the Asian contributions are understudied. A call is made to engage studies on the Asian contributions to Mexico and beyond during the Spanish-European colonial period. Regarding the issue of races, we subscribe to the out-of-Africa theory and highlight the current scientific findings subscribe to the notion that all human beings walking on Earth today have common origins and are one biological species. According to current science, planet Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. All geographical points of the planet are the same age. There is only one world, and it's all the same age. Out of Africa theory places the origin of humanity in East Africa some 200,000 years ago. It was about 130,000 years ago that the migrations out of Africa began. The history of civilization is a much more recent affair, and it runs parallel to agriculture. The timeline is about 10,000 years old. It needs to be noted that Africans were taken across the Sahara into Europe long before the slave trade to the Americas began. African genes had spread throughout Europe and Asia long before Columbus arrived to the Americas. The objective, however, is to credit Africa with her cultural capital investments plagiarized via the Mexican official discourse on nation, forged since the 1880s at the onset of the Porfiriato, whereby Africanized Mexicans were invented as mestizo, mixed breeds of Spanish and Indian, outright erasing our African heritage. The people behind the Eurocentric plagiarism of African Mexican cultural capitals, according to the racist discourse they adopted, were far from white. Porfirian elites were unable to erase Africa's footprint and ngoma present throughout the Americas. Boxito is the regional name for common Yucatan state people. The term meaning black boy emerged after the Spanish, African, and Maya contact. The name Boxito is applied regardless of age and is a referent of the Vaquero of Yucatan. The Boxito Yucatec vaquerías confirm this. Vaquerías are rodeo-type celebrations with unique foods and dances which nonetheless are akin to other Mexican and continental African rooted foods and dances. The rhythms for vaquería dances are called jaranas. Jarana dancers stomp their feet with a straight back while whirling a handkerchief. Whirling handkerchiefs is a Bantu tradition to swish away evil spirits. The dance is performed at times while carrying trays with drinks on the head. The skill of carrying objects on the head is indisputably African. Vaquerías with the same name and music occur as well in the bordering state of Campeche. Campeche's people are called Campechanos. South of Campeche in Tabasco are the Chocos. Chocos have their own zapateo. In the southern Cone country of Paraguay, the balancing bottles on the head dance is a national symbol. The matter is further unraveled by and through the amazing similarities of a host of Vaquero dances from all over the Americas.
Colás tiene un caballo encerrado en un correo. Marinero bailado, marinero bailado.
hop is completely cognate with this. And then in hip hop, the freeze, tango, corte, the freeze, get it? This is not an accident. This is what we call cultural cognation. And the women in front, sweeping the way with cloths. That's an old Congo custom. It's called komba mambu, sweep away evil, make a clear journey to heaven for the little darling. And if the funerals of the black people of Uruguay on the right are that Congo, you can imagine how Congo they are in other things, particularly dance. Next, Gabino Esesa, who lived between 1868 and 1916. Gabino Esesa, who composed 400 compositions. Gabino Esesa, who would, long before rap, settle down into battles of poetry. Wonderful battles. One went on for 3 days until the other guy gave up. But he is the king of the payada, the cowboy battle of guitars and battle of verse, just like rap.
Si estamos bailando y pensando en la sexualidad, estamos abandonando la danza, no es compatible.
Tango and milonga are related to the payadas. Carlos Gardel is said to be the indisputable king of tango. However, it has been shown he learned his trade from Afro-Argentinian Gabino Ezeiza, the veritable king of the payada. Payadas are Argentinian gaucho vaquero tournaments of verbal counterpoint.
I represent the sun, and the sun is danced in a counterclockwise circle, and the word for sun in Kikongo is ntangu. You get it? Ndombe mean? It's Kikongo, ka, to be hit with, ndombe, blackness. Or as one Congo said, kandombe, it means that be all that you can be as a black woman or a black man. Kandombe. The kandombe was danced not only in the past in Buenos Aires, but in the present, as you can see on the right. Next slide. In the process, the classic profile of West African dance came into Buenos Aires and forever changed the shape of what would become the tango. Now on the right you have the guy dancing. Look at my shoulders, stiff as a board. But her, knees bent, torso forward, hands out, feet flat on the ground. Look at her posture cut to Mother Africa. This face, torso bent way forward, knees deeply bent, and then use cloth to decorate your dance. You know, you have pants, make them do something. You have a shirt, make it move. That's very African. It's one of the ancestors of the Charleston. And also another thing in Congo, the Bakongo, the Yoruba love to do this, but the Bakongo like to do this. On the ball of your feet, baby. You're getting closer to God, get it? Rumba and tango come from the same Congo roots.
What economic impact would the knowledge of the widespread African lineage of Mexico and the Americas have for trans-American, African, Asian relations?
La danza landó peruana es lundú africano de Angola. Viene en el siglo XVI con los esclavos africanos y se folcloriza. Por corruptela del lundú se llama landó. Es del tipo de danzas que podríamos llamar de ombligada, porque su coreografía tiene un momento culminante en que el hombre pega ombligo con ombligo a la mujer. No hay nada erótico ni pornográfico, sino es un rito de matrimonio, un rito cósmico de la filosofía africana. Pues bien, aquí en Lima se le llama samba landó y da origen a la sama cueca, que después se le llama marinera, aunque también se le llama toro mata. Esta danza es muy importante, porque la marinera no es baile limeño únicamente, sino es el baile nacional del Perú.
Zimbuza is a healing dance, popular among the Tumbuka people living in northern Malawi. It is an important manifestation of the Ngoma, a healing tradition found throughout Bantu-speaking Africa. Ngoma means drums of affliction. It carries considerable historical depth, and despite various attempts over the years to suppress it, remains a fundamental part of indigenous healthcare systems.
It was through the portals of Bahia, the center of the Brazilian slave trade, that 3 to 5 million Africans were first brought to the New World. Missionaries baptized them when they landed, but didn't care if they kept their drums, their songs, and some of their own customs. Although the Catholic Church later attempted to suppress African religion, the slaves were able to incorporate Catholicism with their own gods and rituals, producing what today is called candomblé. As practiced now, candomblé remains close in form to the original African religions brought by the slaves. Umbanda, the most popular form of macumba, is a colorful blend of candomblé, Catholicism, American Indian religions, and European spiritualism. A central feature of Umbanda is an altered state of consciousness, described by devotees as possession by supernatural beings. Spirit possession is a state in which the medium's own consciousness leaves, and his body is entered by the possessing entity. Drumming, singing, and dancing accompany the celebration as the spirits arrive, ordering food, drinks, cigars, special costumes, or whatever it is they like. Umbanda members report feeling spiritually or psychologically cleansed after recovering from possession. Anthropologists, psychologists, and medical doctors have been intrigued by the success of Umbanda in treating certain psychological and even medical problems. Through Umbanda, the dispossessed seem to regain a sense of power and respect by associating themselves with powerful supernatural forces. Umbanda also helps to integrate the adherent's personality by allowing the expression of repressed aspects of his or her personality in the context of possession. However it is understood or explained, Umbanda functions as a psychotherapy for the poor. People come seeking solutions to their problems, and Umbanda offers them the help they need.
caballo en pelo montado, pero más que todo ser enamorado.